I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness, a first responder mental health podcast hosted by me, Erin Jane, where we have conversations about what it's like to perform a first responder role and the mental health challenges that can accompany it. Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. I'm your host, Erin Jane, and I just wanted to jump on today. So obviously for anyone paying attention out there, I didn't actually release a brand new episode on Friday. So I apologize for that. Simply just life in this week has just somehow gotten in the way of all of that. So basically, I think more just my intention for this week was to be able to jump on and just kind of, I don't know, check in, see how everyone was going. The week of Christmas and New Year's, I call it the week of limbo because no one knows what day it is, what date it is, what time it is. We're all busy eating all of the food associated with it and opening the presents and all that kind of thing. But as we know in the first responder realm, it's not always the happiest of occasions for us because a lot of the time that we're working, we're still getting called to crazy jobs, critical incidents, all that kind of stuff. So, most of us are working straight through. So I really kind of just wanted to jump on and I guess sort of put it out there that, people are appreciative of what you're doing. People are grateful, and we're thinking of you, and really just to say thank you for, those of you who are working through. I know it's one of the challenging aspects of our jobs when, seemingly the rest of the country or large portions of the world kind of sort of seem to shut down around, Christmas, New Year's kind of time. And when you're in a job that it just simply doesn't, there's no part of our job that stops or slows down. So, when everyone else is kind of in that laid back, party, restful, cheerful mood and you're not, that can be challenging sometimes. So I guess I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you for the people who've been working through. And if you had to work on Christmas Day and this was your year to work and you missed out on, your family gathering and all that kind of thing, like I just I want to say that, we are appreciative of what you're doing. I know, on a personal note, like I have been that first responder driving to work at 6 a.m. on a Christmas morning. And I've also been the spouse of, having to get up and not have your spouse there and not be there to celebrate with you and share in those memories. And especially when you've got young kids and stuff, that could be really, really challenging. So, and I think as well, like one of the aspects that I was sort of thinking about earlier this week as well is just the fact that not everyone gets it, and I guess when it kind of comes down to, we've all got shitty relatives. Let's be honest. We all have some relatives that you're like, wouldn't necessarily have chosen you to be in my life, but apparently we share the same kind of blood, and sometimes it means I have to see you. And I think sometimes, there are just people who they just don't get it. They might work their 9-to-5 existence and just can't just simply understand the fact that we perform roles that we can't make it everything. Like with enough notice and stuff. Sure, sometimes, but other times we just can't. It's our year to work. Christmas or someone's birthday, or in America might be your turn to work Thanksgiving. So it just is what it is sometimes, and sometimes, or you've worked a fucking night shift and you're tired, and so you might not rock up to the family gathering at the same time that everyone else is expected to, and they think that you're doing it because you're being disrespectful, or I don't know, but I think it's common. I think the commonality is that not everyone gets it. And, they can make snide remarks and all that kind of thing, or like, fucking so-and-so's a cop, all he does is sit around in a patrol car and eat fucking donuts and drink coffee all night. Like, why isn't he turning up on time? Why is he at home sleeping? Or, firefighter sleep all night. Like, I'm sure he can make it to Christmas lunch. And like, I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I know that sometimes it is. And, I think for me as a first responder spouse now, no longer a first responder role myself, like, I think one of the most important things that you can do for your spouse is to have their back, which, look, let's be honest, we all sort of do naturally anyway. But I think just, when you do come across sometimes those relatives who just don't get it and they just always have to make that, they say that it's a joke and it's really not a fucking joke, and just make a snide remark, or in that roundabout way, like, insult your partner, like, your number one job is to have your partner's back. And I think you're well within your rights to respectfully tell that person to fuck off. If they don't get it, and sometimes they either don't want to get it or they just don't care or whatever else. So, everyone sees people throughout the holidays that maybe they wouldn't see all the time, and maybe they choose not to see all the time. But it also doesn't mean you have to put up with their crap either. So that's kind of just my 2 cents on it. But I really just kind of wanted to say thank you to everyone working through this time, because it's tough and it's busy, and our jobs are challenging. Our jobs are challenging at the best of times, let alone, when there's family obligations and so much goes along with this time of year. So that was kind of just one aspect that I wanted to touch on today. And like I said at the start, this is just a very quick, solo bonus episode. So I, do have the intention to jump on and do these sometimes. I've just been honestly so fortunate that so many wonderful people have, been kind enough to come and jump on it and have a chat, that I sort of haven't, found myself in the place to be like, oh shit, I need to, like, just do one myself. But today I just decided to. And so one of the reasons why I did decide to is because I wanted to talk about reflections and intentions. So reflections of the past year, good old 2023, and perhaps, some intentions for the coming year. And so for me, this really started, rumbling around in my brain because a really good girlfriend of mine here in the States, she put it on a group chat, and it was just sort of like, I'm not a resolution kind of person. Like, if you are, that's awesome, good for you, and if you find things that you can stick to, and January 1st is your day, then like I think that's awesome. I personally, it's just not really my cup of tea. I wouldn't go to the point to say that I think it's bullshit, but I think people do things with the greatest of intentions. But I think also, putting pressure on yourself that it's a New Year's resolution and like, there is a lot of, I believe, like, studies and evidence out there that more often than not, they don't last. And some don't last much past January 31st. So, but yeah, so my girlfriend Emily just kind of put it on the group chat about, reflections and intentions. And it really sort of, gave me pause and made me sort of think about what I wanted to sort of focus on in the year ahead. And I guess I'm not really one to reflect that much. Like, I can reflect on things that, are kind of more personally to do with me, but I'm not necessarily a backwards looking person. I try to sort of be more of like a forward motion kind of person. But it gave me like a really good opportunity, and it was sort of like she asked like the group the question of, maybe 5 things that you were happy with or proud of from the last 12 months. And it really did sort of give me pause to stop and think. So I thought I would share mine with you, that I shared with, my group of friends, because I think I found it to be a really good opportunity to go, fuck yeah, I've actually done some stuff this year that I'm super proud of, that maybe I never saw happening. And that sometimes, especially in all that we see in, our first responder roles, sometimes it's so easy to focus on the negative or just get kind of caught up in it. And let's be honest, like sometimes fucking drown in it, that we don't take the time to be proud of ourselves and to be happy and to celebrate, those little victories, because they are really important. And, achieving a goal or achieving part of a goal that, that you're on your way towards, like, making that achievement, like, I think it's important because I think it helps spur you on. So I wanted to share mine with you today, if that's all right. So the first thing, and these, may I say, are in no particular order. So the first thing that I was really, really proud of, I guess, is that I started university studies for the first time in my life this year. And it's something that I have, I don't know, like thought about for, God, how old am I now? Like the last 20 years. I have maybe a little bit more secretly, not so much like ever really kind of put it out there all that much, but I've always really wanted to study psychology. It's something that's always really interested me. And, my career trajectory headed in a different direction, and I became a cop instead of going to university to study in that respect. But I always sort of have wanted to do it. And at the same time, I commenced these studies this year when I was 38 years old. And I'd even like looked at it even when I kind of just started, like first came over to the States after I got married and moved over here. And I was looking at doing it then. So yeah, we're talking like more like 8 years ago. And I found the prospect incredibly daunting. It scared me. Like, I don't know, maybe it scared me to think that just to be starting doing something in my 30s, which most people, do I guess a lot earlier. And I know that I'm not super old. I do understand that I'm not trying to say that I am, but it just was, something that I'd sort of always wanted to do. But to take the plunge, it was daunting and anxiety inducing and all that kind of thing. So I actually just, took the plunge this year, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. Like I'm learning so much. And it's so, and I think there's something to be said for studying when you're a little bit older, because I feel like, I don't know whether it's like you take it in more, but there is so much more joy and enjoyment, I feel personally, with learning now and studying now and having it seep in. And because it is something I am so heavily interested in, that I think, I don't know whether I would have done as well or be enjoying it as much if I had done it, like 20 years ago. But here I am on the very, very slow mission to, become a counsellor / therapist for first responders and emergency services members. I want to focus in helping treat trauma. So I've taken that first step. And so for something that, did scare me and I found incredibly daunting, just to, finally take the plunge, that is sort of something that I am really proud of myself for, because it's good to do things that scare us sometimes, but it doesn't mean that, you like it anymore when you're faced with a prospect. But, like as a life and wellness coach for first responders, I think it's important to walk your talk, and I always sort of like say it that I'm not someone who would ever sort of ask anyone or expect anyone to do anything that I would never do. So facing up to your fears, doing something that challenges you, doing something that you find daunting, you know, I've got to do it too. So yeah, that's the first thing that I'm sort of really, really proud of this year. And the second thing is actually what you are listening to or watching right now, this podcast. I will hold space for your darkness. This is honestly something I never envisaged myself doing at all. I think I was a podcast guest for the first time, maybe back in February, it could have been 2023. And I was so freaking nervous. I was like shaking. My voice was shaking. I spoke so quickly, and I was just, I think I'm normal, and I think I'm like everyone else, that I don't like the sound of my own voice, and I don't like seeing myself on camera. So the thought of doing this right now, like literally not, just like not something I would enjoy, or anything like that. But I ended up being a guest on a couple of different podcasts, including the Overwatch Collective with Greg. And I don't know, I guess the more I did it, the more comfortable I sort of felt, and the most way that you can. And I kind of just, I don't know, something just got sparked in my passion and in my ideas of wanting to have these conversations with people. I think there is so much humanity that can be shared amongst our first responder and emergency services community by just sharing our stories, sharing our experiences, sharing war stories, having a laugh, having a cry, saying fuck, that was terrible, but yet I survived it and I'm still here. And this is what helped me, or this is what someone did to help me. Like, I think sharing our thoughts and feelings and experiences and heartbreaks and meltdowns and breakdowns and diagnoses and all of the things, like, someone might listen and it might resonate with them, and someone might be struggling and be like, oh fuck, like that sounds like what I'm going through right now, but like I can hear that guy or that girl is okay now, so maybe I can reach out and get help. And look, I'm not saying that this podcast is all powerful and is gonna do everything that I would ever want it to do, but it's my way of, I don't know, just, it's kind of really just a passion project. If I'm truly honest, it's not something I have a massive amount of time to be doing in my life right now. But you find the time for the things that matter, and this matters to me. And the reason I called it "I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness" is because obviously it's like the, what would you call it, like the ethos or mission statement from my coaching business. But I think it is important to hold space for people and hold space for their darkness. And so whether I do that with a client in a coaching session, or whether I do it with someone over a screen or sitting next to me in my office while we're having a conversation, holding space for that, I think it matters, and I think it's important. So yeah, this is, and look, let's be honest, if you are listening right now, you know that this is not the most professional or polished podcast you're ever going to listen to. And that's okay by me. It's, no one's paying me to do this. I do it because I love it, and I get real joy out of it. And I think the fact that it is, raw and unpolished, and we say all of the words and tell all of the inappropriate jokes and everything, like, that's kind of, I think, part of the appeal. You're just listening to other first responders having a chat, shoot the shit, and almost in like a voyeuristic way, you get to just like sit back and listen, and maybe learn something, maybe have a laugh, maybe feel something. I don't know. But yeah, it's something that I am really proud of, because it just, like, honestly, I think I decided to do this in September, and it is now, the end of December, and it's real, it's not just me sitting here talking to myself, even though I'm doing this right now. So just shut up about that. But, like, it's real. There's episodes out there and people are listening, and I'm getting beautiful feedback, and you know what, it's actually not even me who gets all of the feedback. Like, I hear from other guests and they go, oh my God, this person that I haven't spoken to in 10 years, or this person I work with but I'm not really close, they listened to my episode and, they were like, mate, I was really struggling, and hearing your conversation, like, made me go, oh, okay. So, like, it's okay if I go and get help. It's okay if I go and talk to someone. And that was like, I got that feedback just the other day, actually. And it was one of the most beautiful things that I could ever be told, because that's what it's about. That's why I'm doing it. I don't do this or coaching or anything else besides the fact that I just care. I think the first responder population is so incredibly special, and they struggle, and there's not always the right help out there available. And I just try to be a resource. I'm not for everyone. I help in the way that I can, and I love what I do. So I think whether you come and be a guest on here, or you sign up and, had coaching with me, like, the one thing you're always going to know interacting with me and talking with me is that I care. And, that's all that really matters to me, is that I care, and that people know that I do. So yeah, this is number 2 on the list, in no particular order. So the third thing that I was really proud of this year is that there are a couple of things that happened during the year on, like, a personal note that I'm not going to, bore you with necessarily on here. But suffice to say that there was, some times when I got faced with, like, a choice or with a decision, and it was like a heavy choice and decision to make, and I chose myself. And as a 39-year-old woman now, like, to be able to say that I actually put myself first, that's growth for me. I have probably been a people pleaser a lot of my life, and not wanting to get in trouble or rock the boat or upset anyone. And and I'm a wife and I'm a mother, and they're roles that are very important to me, and I guess it's like probably a natural inclination for me, and as a mum, and sometimes as a wife, and especially as a wife of, an active duty firefighter who is gone for, 24 to 36 hours in a hit, you want the best for the people in your life that you love. So, making sure my boys are good, the big one and the little ones, before I, take care of myself, it's just sort of been normal and natural for me. And there's not anything wrong with that. But I've also had to learn that, if I put myself last, then it's not going to work out well. It's not going to work out well for anyone. It's not going to end well for me, and it's not going to end well for the people that rely on me and who love me and, want to support me too. So when faced with a decision that would have altered things a lot, I chose me. I put myself first, and that was pretty big for me, you know. And I don't think it's something that we always do, and I don't think it's something that we naturally do either. You know, even in the jobs we do as first responders, like, you know, as a firefighter, you run into a, you know, burning building, or try to extract someone from a vehicle, or go to a hazmat incident, and you know, you're putting your troops first and the members of the public, but you're not always putting yourself first, because that's part of your job. Same as being a cop, same as being an AMBO or a paramedic. Like, that's our job. We put other people first, and that easily bleeds into your private life. So for me, that was a really proud moment personally, that I was very decisive in putting myself first. So that's number 3 on my list, because, you know, me from a few years ago might not have, and that is a testament to, you know, my own shit that I've worked on over the last few years. You know, like I sort of I've said it to, like, you know, friends before and stuff, and it might not sound right, so forgive me if it doesn't come out great, but I think my husband is a very good man, and I've done a lot of personal work on myself since we have been married, because I guess I've had the time to, you know. When I was a cop, I think I was just in survival mode a lot of the time, not facing up to shit, not dealing with shit, just, you know, whatever. And over the last, especially like the last sort of, you know, 4 or 5 years, definitely, I've sort of taken a step back and really looked at aspects of myself and my personality in my life and behaviors, and really kind of like analyzed it and figured out kind of reasons why some of the things I do what I do, and or I act how I act, or behave how I behave, or respond, you know. And I realized there were some aspects that I didn't like. So I changed them, and I fixed them, and I worked on them, and faced up to shit that, you know, I hadn't faced up to for the longest time. And it's not always like the most enjoyable, but it was necessary. And so kind of one of the things I like to say, not that I like to say, but sort of the way that I look at it is that my husband found me before I knew that I deserved him. Because when we actually did meet and marry, I didn't necessarily know deep down that I deserved someone good like him. I really didn't, you know. And yes, you know, he has his faults and I've got mine, and we're not perfect, but we're good. We're really good together. And, you know, part of that is because I've worked on myself, you know. And then in choosing yourself, that's what it's all about. It becomes important at certain points in your life, as I've come to learn. So yeah, that was lucky number 3. Number 4 on my list was, I guess I've been sort of, and sometimes I post about it on Instagram and stuff like that, just getting up early and working out. I sort of became a morning workout person once I had kids, simply because it was just, you know, circumstances. It got easier. And then a girlfriend was joined the 5 a.m. club. So that initially seemed like something crazy. And then I sort of started to try it. So I'm not necessarily complete 5 a.m., but I'm normally up in the 5s, you know. sometimes when my husband is upgraded to deputy, he's up at 5 a.m. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, may as well get up at this point anyway. But it's only about like 5:30-ish to get up and work out. And it's so that, you know, I can fit it into my day, because otherwise it just doesn't get done, you know. And so number 4 was, I'm proud with the consistency that I have been able to maintain, to keep showing up like 5-6 mornings a week. And it's even when, you know, I haven't always seen the results that I've wanted, or I've gotten injured and all that kind of thing. Like it pivoted a little while ago for me, that was once motivation had turned into consistency, and consistency turned into discipline for me. And I'm proud of myself for allowing it to become a discipline, become a habit, you know, become something that feeds me in such a positive way. Because, you know, it's easy just to, you know, let things like that fall by the wayside, and remain, you know, potentially unhappy with certain aspects of yourself, and just be like, oh, fuck it, like this is just how it is. And it's like, well, I'm kind of the person, or I'm more of a person that I'm not going to complain about something without trying to do something about it, especially if it's about me, you know. Like, I'm not going to sit there and complain about feeling unfit or feeling in a certain way while, you know, as my husband would say, you know, sitting on the couch eating bonbons. So, you know, like, you know, certain aspects of myself I wasn't happy with, so I get up at 5:30 and train, and that's what I do, you know. And so, yeah, that, and then there's definitely some pride that goes along with that. Is just now part of my life. It's kind of not even really something I think about a hell of a lot, and, you know, might get interrupted by like a sick kid, or, you know, hubby going away or something like that. Like, yeah, sometimes, but I've also kind of been better at pivoting and going like, okay, like, didn't get much sleep last night because, you know, little one was sick. All right, like, you know, be a little bit kinder to yourself today, and either, you know, take this as your rest day, or, you know what, like, work out at midday, work out in the afternoon. Like, just consistency and having it become just part of my life now. It's my lifestyle, and I love it, and it feeds my body, it feeds my mental health. You know, I actually get almost more mentally out of my workouts, because it, for me, you know, it sets the intention for the day. Even if I have a shitty workout, and let's be honest, everyone has shitty workouts every now and then, and you just be like, ugh. But you know what? Like, you might be frustrated or annoyed that you had a shitty workout, but you don't regret getting up to work out. I don't think anyone ever does. So, you know, I have my own goals that I'm working towards, and it's a long, frustrating process, but it's now just been something that I learned to love, and it's part of my life. And especially for me, you know, I think leading by example for my kids is important. So showing them that exercise is important, being strong, being fit, eating healthy, you know, that you can go back and study and have a, you know, kind of a complete career shift in your 30s is okay. Like, starting a brand new career is okay. So many things, but leading by example, and that's one of them for me. Just showing my kids that, you know, how much you get out of moving your body and feeding your mind is, you know, something that's definitely something that's important to me. So, yeah. And last on the list, but as I would say in no particular order, because I wouldn't want him to listen and feel like he's the last on my list. But I am coming up on 10 years of marriage with my husband. And that's like, something I'm pretty fucking proud of, because not only did I, meet and marry a good man, but I also, like, us getting married was also a big turning point in my life, and not necessarily just in the regular ways that it might be in terms of you get married and you might have kids and all that kind of thing. Like, almost every aspect of my life changed when we got married. Within sort of the next 12 to 18 months, I had left my country. I left the only career that I thought that I'd ever wanted. I came to a country where he was the only person that I knew, and had to find my way and establish myself. And that took guts. It took maybe a little bit of craziness too. But it took courage to do that. And I'm sure that, probably more than half of the people who attended our wedding might have thought we were fucking crazy for, getting married when I lived in one country and he lived in another. But, 10 years and 2 kids later, like our anniversary is in March, which we will actually be in Australia for. So, and Australia is where we got married. So I'm actually pretty stoked about that. We'll get to celebrate our anniversary in the country where we got married. But, we've gone through ups and downs like every couple does. And I think, having children away from my support network was definitely like a challenge for me. Always, thinking that you're gonna have all your friends around when you have babies, and your family, and like your mum and your sister and all that kind of thing, and people have visited, which is great, and so lucky to have that. But it has been challenging, and making new friends as an adult is hard and weird sometimes. So, and yet I've managed to, create a beautiful group of friends over here. And I'm so fortunate for that. They keep me grounded, and they've become, just as important as people who I love and people who I've been friends with for many, many years back home, and it's now everyone just complements each other, instead of just kind of maybe having a couple of friends here, but, not that would be surfacey level, but probably friends for a certain amount of time that would, maybe have an end date, and then having what I felt like, was like my real friends back home. Well, to actually make real friends here, and to, have them to rely on, and, be supportive and share experiences with. And it's been, the friends I've made over here, like we've shared motherhood together. We all sort of, most of us met when we just had our first children. And then we sort of had our second children, like most of us together as well. So it's been, and then with the pandemic happening at the start of 2020, we were meant to fly home to Australia, and we had to cancel our trip because they were closing borders, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to get into the country. We didn't know if we'd be able to be let out. There was so much, confusion and uncertainty back then. And regardless of what anyone believes about the pandemic now, like, you're entitled to your opinion. Cool. I'm not gonna argue with anyone about that. Everyone's experience was subjective, so that's totally fine. For me personally, I was kind of like locked out of my country for, the better part of 3 years. And so that was something as a couple, you know, during our marriage, like my husband and I had to deal with, and it was it was an upsetting time. Not something I probably thought about for a little while there. But yeah, so I guess what I'm sort of getting at is we're a normal couple, you know. And we've had our good times and bad, and definitely way more good times than bad, and we're really fortunate like that. And I always know and feel that I have his support, and I hope that he knows and feels that he has mine. And you know, I think 10 years and 2 kids is it is something to be proud of. So it is something that I take pride in, and I'm proud that I took a leap of faith in the way that I did. And even though, you know, my life changed and was, you know, some challenging times, like there are zero regrets. I love what we have. I love what I do now. You know, I still speak to everyone who's important back home. You know, made beautiful friends here, and you know, marriage is something that you work on. So, you know, we do in the way that suits us. And yeah, so yeah, that's lucky number 5 on my list. So yeah, I am gonna make a post on this on Instagram, hopefully when I'm finished recording. But I will write it in the comments. But I hope that this gives someone else some pause to maybe have to think about some of the things that they might be proud of, or to even just go back and think and reflect. Just be like, hey, what did I do this year that I fucking kicked ass at? You know, because I'm sure you'll be able to find something. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about was intentions. Like I said, you know, my girlfriend was like, what are we proud of, and what do we want to look towards for 2024? And again, yeah, like I said, I'm not a resolution kind of person, but to kind of maybe have like an intention, I'm like, I could, you know, I could go with that. And the first thing that came to my mind was just to keep pushing. You know, keep pushing forward towards goals. And I think, you know, it kind of probably complements, you know, some of my reflections and things that I was proud of for this year. But, you know, my husband and I sort of have a not really like a motto. I wouldn't call it a motto. It's kind of more just like maybe like a focus with like our life together and things that we try to accomplish and goals we have. It's like no matter what's going on, we always want to have forward momentum. So, and if you kind of like are heading in one direction and then you kind of reach a roadblock, well, then you like fucking pivot and then like you head in a different direction and you just like get around it. So I think that's sort of, you know, to keep pushing forward. So like, you know, I talked about like my, you know, building on my motivation to become consistent and then become disciplined. Like, you know, keep pushing on my fitness goals, keep pushing on, you know, working on myself in elements that I still, you know, might feel like need work or come across this year where there might be something I'm like, oh, I hadn't sort of thought about that or realized that or, you know, considered that, to keep, you know, keep pushing on maintaining my relationships and my friendships, because they take work, they take effort, they take love and attention. And, you know, I think there's those, do you call them like the concentric circles of, you know, there are the people who need your love and attention, like every single day. And then the concentric circle opens and it's like, you know, who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to give my time to? Who am I going to give love and attention to? And so then you have, the differing degrees. And even, my very best friend at home, who I, have a matching tattoo with, her and I don't talk every day. And she's one of the most important people in my life. So it's kind of just like, but then when we do talk, it's amazing. And we go through patches. Like sometimes we'll talk every day for like a week, and then we won't talk for a couple of weeks, and that's okay. So I think it's just feeding the relationships in the way that they need to be fed. Whether it is someone who you talk to every day, whether it's someone that you touch base with once a month, whether, for me, some people, I only see when I go home to Australia, and, that's enough for us. That's the stage of our relationship or friendship or anything else. And that's cool. Like there's varying degrees, and everyone's busy, so I don't sit here kind of thinking that I need anything really special from anyone, or think that anyone needs anything in particular from me. But I think just letting someone know that you care, or letting someone know that you're thinking of them, or just shooting through. I mean, Christ, some of my friends, all we do is send fucking reels, stupid, idiotic things to each other, and that's my what like the way that we communicate. Which I know I'm not alone there. So, it's I think that's just something that I want to keep pushing on, or keep pushing and focusing on is feeding the friendships and relationships that are important to me. That's just one of my things. And yeah, like to keep working toward my goal of like with my study and with my education. I know that this is going to take me years, and I've had to reconcile that to be okay with that. And I think it actually does make it easier for me, and it gives me the driving force and motivation, because I'm not just kind of like, I'm just going to study and see where it goes. Like I actually know my end goal. I know where I want to get to. I know what I want to do. But in saying that, I have to also sometimes remind myself that I'm one person. I have other responsibilities. And I can't go at lightning speed if it's going to burn me out, because I'm not going to be any good to anyone. So I am doing it at the pace that I can with the other responsibilities I have, but with the end goal in mind. I'm just enjoying it so much, and I'm learning so much. And, one day along with being able to be a coach for first responders and emergency services members, one day, hopefully in the next few years, I'll be able to offer them, therapy and counselling services too. So that is just something that I have to keep pushing towards, keep pushing for, keep pushing myself to, I wouldn't say maintain interest in, because I'm so passionate and interested in it, but just, keep putting effort into, I guess, because it is important. And, I think we could all get fatigued and stuff at certain points, but I think for me it does help to, have that end goal in mind. But yeah, so reflections and intentions. That is what I wanted to jump on here and talk about today. So if anyone listening wants to share any of theirs with me, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out on Instagram. And I really hope that you will give yourself the opportunity to kind of look back and be like, this is what I did good this year. This is what I'm proud of. This is what I'm really happy with. This is what I achieved and accomplished, and fuck yeah, I did. I really hope that, and you'll give yourself that opportunity. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful to my friend Emily for planting the seed for this episode, because, I wanted to to jump on and kind of say something for the end of the year. So yeah, I guess my final thought is it's really just to say thank you. Thank you to anyone who has been listening, whether it's just to this episode or any of the others. Thank you for giving your time, because honestly, time is the most precious thing that any of us have. So if you're taking your time to listen to the conversations I'm having, it is it's appreciated more than you'll ever know, and more than I'll ever be able to convey. And I'm so eternally grateful and thankful to all of the guests that have similarly given their time, and given us their truth, their vulnerability, their experiences, their stories, sometimes their tears. It has been an absolute honor and a downright privilege to have spoken to some of the people that, I don't know, not some, it's like all of the people, but as in everyone's had a different experience. And I think that's kind of like the one thing that I've been able to show is that, you can have joined the job at the same time, you have worked for the same organization, you can do all of the things and have very vastly different experiences. As I think anyone who would have listened to Elise and Haley's podcasts, vastly different experiences. And just, reflecting back, I'm so grateful that these people just took a chance on coming on, this, what probably seemed like a silly little podcast, but, people gave me their hearts and gave me their time and shared some of their deepest, darkest experiences. I think about Michael from last episode, and in particular I think about Travis Tribble, who gave me over 2 hours of his important time to come on here. And yeah, some of my friends from Australia, and there's some episodes that are still in the works and haven't come on yet, so they won't come out till the new year. But honestly, I'm just, for something that I really never thought I would ever do, be start a podcast, and yet here I am, and I honestly love it, and I'm just so thankful and so grateful for the people who have given me their time. And so if any of you are listening, you know me well enough to know that I'm generally very wordy and verbose, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart that I will hold space for your darkness is real and relevant, and it's what I mean. I will hold space for your darkness, and I hope that I was able to do that during our conversations, and that you felt respected and listened to and heard, and that you felt empathy and compassion from me in the things that we spoke about. So I think that's probably about it. I'll wrap it up, and sort of gonna try to release this probably tonight, so we'll see how we go. But if you've listened, I really appreciate your time for this episode and all of the ones that you've listened to. It is honestly, this podcast is one of the things that I'm proudest of this year, and I hope to soldier on, keep pushing, and continue on with it next year. And so if you are listening and you are either a current or a former first responder and you would love to come in and share this space share this space with me, I would love to have you on. So get in touch, and we're having some great conversations. So you are more than welcome to come jump on with us. All right. I will leave it there. I want to wish everyone, I hope you had a lovely Christmas. I want to wish you a safe New Year. If you are working, stay safe. If you are partying, stay safe. You're having quiet night at home with your family. I hope that you enjoy it and cherish it. Okay. This has been just a sneaky little, well, it was meant to be a little. Clearly, I ramble on a little bit too much. This has been a bonus episode of I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness, a first responder mental health podcast. I've been your host, Erin Jane, and I am eternally grateful for you listening today. Let me listen in a way that you have never been heard. Cheers. Hi guys, it's Erin Jane here. Firstly, thank you for listening to I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. This podcast really is for you, the listener, and I hope you're finding as much value in listening to these conversations as I am in having them. If you'd like to offer any feedback, suggest a subject matter, are interested in being a podcast guest, or would like to get in contact to receive first responder life and wellness coaching services, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Erin Jane Coaching or my website, www.erinjanecoaching.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of this darkness community. Cheers.